Danyelle Freeman, our guest. Her new book, Try This, Traveling the Globe Without Leaving the Table. She is a divine food writer, a culinary concierge of sorts. You write in here about what we do in what we should do in different countries so we don't insult the waiter,
Yes.
or so we get the good table and don't get kicked out. And one thing in Japan, the chopsticks. What are the rules?
Okay, these are rules that I didn't know about, but I learned quickly when 5 people come in and swipe your bowl. Do not stick your chopsticks straight up in a bowl when you're done in rice and anything, because it represents incense in death and a funeral. So if you do that, it's very, very bad luck. Just like it's very bad luck, I remember a Chinese restaurant, I don't know if you remember this part of my book, but you can't cut your noodles, which is one of the reasons they don't give you knives on the table. If you'll notice, that's very bad luck too. Cut your noodle, you'll have a short life. Eat the whole long noodle and you'll have a long life. It symbolizes longevity. So there's all these nuances. Like, I never knew. I like to eat by myself sometimes. Like, lunch is my favorite. It's my happy place to eat alone. I would go to Koreatown in New York City and I would eat by myself. And people would look at me really strangely. Well, it's really odd to eat by yourself in Korean culture.
Right, Korean barbecue, many people.
Yeah, many, and they eat, lots of people. They also cover their mouths a lot, and I always thought everyone had a cold, and I was like, I'm gonna get sick every time I go out for Korean food, but that's not the case at all. They're being deferential to the elderly at the table. So if you're drinking alcohol in front of someone who's older than you, you cover your mouth.
Really?
To drink your shochu or sake, yeah.
But if you're not Korean, should you or should you just observe?
Well, I think,
what's the rule?
You know, I like to be respectful. I'm all about celebrating a culture. So I drink wine from Spain when I'm in a Spanish restaurant. I drink French wine because that really goes best with the food. It's the terroir,
Makes
right?
sense.
So I drink sake when I'm in Japanese, or shochu in Korean. So I think you participate in the culture. Yeah.
And when you put your chopsticks down, you don't lay them on the table.
No, yeah.
You put them on the little chopstick thing, or you put them across the bowl.
Exactly.
Is that right? And sake.
And you eat
you
sushi
never
with
pour
your
your own
hands.
sake, right?
Bad luck. You always pour for others, and they should pour for you. And you should, if you are sitting at the sushi bar, pour for the chef, because that's a respectful thing to do. So usually when people get a bottle of sake, you'll notice a lot of the Japanese will pour for the chef, because that's what they do. They're serving you, they're feeding you.
And I learned in Try This that you don't dip your sushi flat.
That's
you dip it on the seaweed side. Well, that's you don't lose rice that way.
And you don't soak up too much soy sauce so that all you're tasting is soy sauce.
Of course.
You dip it on the fish. You also eat sushi with your hands. It's a snack. I was at Tojo last night in Vancouver.
Well, that's way easier. I'm so happy I know that. You went to Tojo's?
I went to Tojo. I went straight there from the
40th
airport.
anniversary on Sunday night.
I know,
Tojo's?
I heard.
Wow.
Yes, and I was talking to him about it, and I said, you know, how come everyone was eating their sushi with their chopsticks? He's like, they don't know. It's a snack. You eat with your hands. I said, oh, yes, I know. You eat with your hands. He's like, how do you know? I'm like, only because I looked it up. And that's what I wanted to create for people, like a cheat sheet to dining out. For everything from British, Thai.
Exactly. And it's way easier to dip with your hands than to try and get it in the, well, you're probably good with the chopsticks.
You lose all your rice. I'm actually not that good with my chopsticks.
Or you, the other thing is you eat half the sushi and then the middle falls out or something.
Right.
So it would be easier with hands. So if you do that, it's perfectly fine. I love that.
Eat with your hands. Eat with your hands, especially
slurp
Indian.
a raw quail egg.
Yeah.
Well, many cultures do eat with their hands. So what's the ritual there?
And they eat their plate, which is their bread, right? They fold up the plate and they put it in their mouths. Like, that's the roti, that's the naan you're eating.
Sure. What's the deal in Spain? With no dipping, right? You don't dip the bread.
I don't know. You tell me.
Isn't it in Spain you're not supposed to dip your bread?
Oh, no, you don't rip it.
You cut it. You always use a knife in Spain.
Right.
I mean, they won't kick you out of the country, but the Spanish use knives.
They're very...
Like, we're rippers.
We're rippers.
Aren't we?
No, we're rippers. But you always, like, so you only take sort of what you're going to eat at that moment. So you're not supposed to take a big chunk. You take rip as you go, and then you butter your bread.
Okay. And so
Every
many
culture
cultures use old bread. You know, isn't it ribollita? Is that what the kids...
Ribollita bread soup,
in Tuscany, the leftover bread soup, and we had French toast. I don't think it was French.
No. it's so funny that you talk about the leftover bread, though, because everything is survival. That's what I've learned. It's like all these dishes, even the French classics like cassoulet, they're all peasant dishes.
Yes.
They're all about survival. You know, these things are really not very highfalutin foods. Like they were created, you know, as as saving things, right? So like the ribollita soup, you don't waste. Right? So you take that leftover bread and you make a soup.
Yeah, because it's the old minestrone, I think they just put over the bread, isn't it? I can't remember. I went to Italian cooking school a long time ago.
You went to cooking school?
I did at Villa Delia, Umberto's cooking school in Tuscany. It was lovely. And I can't say that I've done a lot of cooking since, but I go to Umberto's to eat his cooking.
Sounds like you do a lot of eating.
I do a lot of eating.
You have great, amazing restaurants here.
Don't we?
Oh my gosh! I want to move here. I'm in love with Asian
You should
food.
move. Well, I don't know. Midtown New York's pretty swell because you have the same, and you have some of the traditions, the old school.
We do.
Old school Italian where you wouldn't dare put Parmesan on linguine vongole.
That's right. We have a restaurant called Sapori di Ischia in Queens, which is Iskian. And so there's so many regional foods that are available to these days, you know, and you know, here you have every region of China especially available. But so there, they literally have a 10 commandments. Like you don't put a lemon peel in your espresso and you don't put Parmesan. Basically, you just follow the rules of that culture of that restaurant and you can't go wrong.
No Parmesan on fish and pasta.
And don't dare
But if you really like
sauce.
it, I guess you could. Don't change the sauce, no.
That's the chef's domain.
Most chefs don't like that.
No.
When you say, I know you paired this with that, but I was hoping you could put a red sauce on my veal instead of a white sauce.
But they're doing that for a reason. Most people think that the chef is just spiting them. That's not true. They pick the right canvas for that sauce. And you're changing the canvas, you're changing the dish.
Well, this takes us on a global culinary tour, no question. But it also tells us things like where do you leave your napkin when you leave the table to go to the bathroom?
This is my biggest peeve. And this is probably why I'm still single, I'll tell you. Because because you do not put your napkin on the table until you're done with dinner. So if you get up, you put it on your chair, and you should remove your napkin from the table as soon as you sit down because you're really creating too many, which is why I also don't think people should put their BlackBerries or their phones on the table.
Right.
Servers have to negotiate around all your equipment and the napkins. So you put it on your lap, and it doesn't go back on the table until the end of the meal.
Okay, well, you can tell a lot about someone when you have dinner with them, as you know. And I love your steak relationship test in here. If a man orders a rare steak, it means what? If he orders a well done, it means what?
Oh, well, if he orders like a bloody steak, it means he's really adventurous and crazy, and he's probably not very reliable or stable. Rare, medium rare is adventurous and fun and interesting, always up for trying something new. Well done. They might as well have ordered chicken because they're so conservative and they're not going to be fun in bed.
Okay. Oh, I'm so happy I know this.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
If you
test.
want a well done steak, I mean, I don't even want dessert. I'll go for dessert by myself if they order a well done steak.
Well done steak, leaving the restaurant now.
Yeah.
Immediately. Even if you have an allergy to
I don't understand why
blood.
you order steak, because if you're ordering a steak well done, you're not tasting the nuances of it.
Well, thanks for that tip.
Yeah.
So Fête the Fest, Danyelle Freeman, and that'll be tomorrow night, December 1st.
Tomorrow night.
Is it tomorrow? Yeah, Thursday, 8 p.m. at the Jewish Community Center.
Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Danyelle Freeman, and her new book is Try This,